At first, it was just little things. Misplacing your glasses, struggling to recall a name that used to come so easily, a moment of confusion when writing a simple grocery list. You laughed it off. Just getting older, you said. But what if those small slips are not just aging? What if they are quiet signal signs your brain is trying to tell you something? After 60, our brains go through real changes. Some are natural, but others are caused by simple daily habits that most people do not even realize are harming them. And the heartbreaking part? These mistakes do not feel dangerous. They feel normal. But slowly, silently, they can drain your clarity, your memory, even your sense of self. This video is not about fear, it is about awareness. Because once you understand the hidden ways your brain health can decline, you can take powerful steps to protect it. And what you protect is more than memorite, is your independence, your joy, your connection to the people you love. Stay with me, because you deserve to know the truth and how to stay sharp, strong, and mentally alive for years to come. If you care about keeping your mind healthy and clear after 60, this video is for you. Let me know in the comments if any part resonates with your story. And if you find this helpful, please subscribe and turn on the bell. We are building a caring space where wisdom grows stronger, not weaker, with age. After decades of work, responsibility, and nonstop thinking, retirement can feel like a well-earned pause. No more deadlines, no more meetings, no more mentally draining decisions. For many, it is finally a chance to rest. But here is the truth nobody tells you. Your brain does not retire just because you do. In fact, when the brain stops being challenged, it begins to shrink literally. You see, your brain is like a muscle, and just like your legs will weaken if you stop walking, your memory, attention, and problem-solving skills will fade if you stop using them. It happens slowly, quietly, but over time, the effects become impossible to ignore. Take Margaret, a 73-year-old former school teacher. For over 30 years, she led classrooms, planned lessons, read constantly, and solved problems on the fly. But after retirement, she slipped into a slower rhythm. She stopped reading every night. She no longer wrote in her journal. Her days became filled with quiet routines, television, puzzles she had done 100 times, and long stretches of rest. At first, she felt peaceful, but soon she began struggling to find words mid-sentence. She forgot the names of past students, neighbors, and even close friends. Her once sharp wit dulled. Her doctor gently explained, "Margaret, your brain is understimulated. It is not sick, it is sleepy." Studies show that seniors who stop engaging in mentally challenging activities experience a much faster rate of cognitive decline. In fact, skipping daily mental stimulation has been linked to memory loss, slower reaction times, and even early signs of dementia. But here is the good news: your brain is always capable of growth. It is called neuroplasticity, and it means that no matter your age, your brain can build new connections. The key is stimulation fresh, daily challenges that make your brain think in new ways. You do not need to solve complex math problems or learn a foreign language unless you want to. You just need to give your brain a little something to chew on every day. Try reading a book that challenges your thinking. Start a journal and reflect on your memories. Watch a documentary and write down 3 things you learned. Or teach someone something you know, a recipe, a skill, a story from your past. Teaching is one of the most powerful brain boosters of all. You can also try brain games, crossword puzzles, word searches, or memory card games. Even learning a new hobby like knitting, painting, or playing an instrument can reignite parts of the brain that have been quiet for years. The most important thing is variety. The brain gets lazy when it is bored. So mix it up. Switch between creative tasks, logic challenges, memory games, and storytelling. Keep your brain on its toes. Do not underestimate what is at stake. Keeping your mind active is not just about remembering where you left your keys. It is about protecting your independence, your ability to have deep conversations, your confidence in the world around you. And it is never too late to start. Let us go back to Margaret. After that appointment, she made small changes. She joined a book club at her local library. She started writing letters to her grandchildren, each one sharing a memory from her life. She even took a beginner's Spanish class at the community center. At first, she felt a little rusty, but soon she noticed something. Her mind was coming back online. Her words flowed more easily. Her laughter returned. "I feel like myself again," she told her daughter one day. "It is like I woke up." So here is your invitation. Wake your brain up. It still has so much to offer. Whether you are 60, 70, or 85, your brain is waiting for its next job. Not because it has to work, but because it wants to thrive. Give it something meaningful to do. You may be surprised just how alive you start to feel again. Now, let us move on to the next hidden mistake that often goes completely unnoticed, but can cause your brain to work twice as hard just to keep up. For many people, hearing fades so gradually that they barely notice it. You turn the volume up a little more on the television. You ask someone to repeat themselves now and then. You smile and nod even if you did not catch every word. At first, it seems harmless, maybe even normal. But what if ignoring hearing loss was not just affecting your ears but quietly harming your brain? It may surprise you to learn this. Untreated hearing loss is one of the strongest predictors of cognitive decline in older adults. Researchers have found that seniors with hearing loss are up to 5 times more likely to develop dementia than those without. Why? Because when your ears stop hearing clearly, your brain has to work overtime to fill in the gaps. It uses energy that should be going toward memory, focus, and reasoning just to decode muffled or missing sounds. Over time, that constant strain wears the brain down. And the emotional cost? Just as steep. Meet Walter, a 72-year-old retired mechanic. For years, Walter struggled to follow conversations in noisy restaurants. He stopped answering the phone unless it was someone he knew well. He began skipping family gatherings because he was tired of pretending he understood what people were saying. He did not tell anyone, but deep down, Walter felt like he was fading out of the world. At his next checkup, his doctor suggested a hearing test. Walter resisted. "I am fine," he insisted. "People just mumble these days." But finally, after some gentle encouragement, he agreed. The test revealed moderate hearing loss in both ears. The audiologist explained that his brain was overcompensating and that this stress could be slowly draining his cognitive health. Walter got fitted for hearing aids. At first, they felt strange, loud, a bit awkward. But within weeks, something remarkable happened. He began participating in conversations again. He started laughing at jokes on the first try not 10 seconds later. He even went back to his weekly coffee group at the diner. He told his daughter, "I feel like I am part of the world again." That is the hidden cost of ignoring hearing loss. It isolates you, not just socially, but mentally. And loneliness, combined with overworked brain function, creates the perfect storm for memory loss, confusion, and early cognitive decline. And yet, millions of seniors live with untreated hearing loss simply because they do not want to feel old, or they are embarrassed, or they think hearing aids are bulky, ugly, or only for other people. But modern hearing aids are sleek, small, and more effective than ever. And more importantly, they are not just devices for your ears, they are defenders of your brain. If you find yourself doing any of these things, it may be time for a hearing check. Frequently asking people to repeat themselves, avoiding phone calls or group settings, feeling drained after conversations, increasing the volume on the television or radio beyond what others find comfortable. You do not need to accept hearing loss as an inevitable decline. You can respond to it. You can protect your brain by listening better starting now. Here is a simple truth. When you hear more, your brain works less. And when your brain works less on just hearing, it has more energy for remembering, solving problems, enjoying life, and staying sharp. Let us return to Walter. A few months after getting his hearing aids, his wife told him something that made him tear up. She said, "You laugh more now. I miss that." Sometimes protecting your brain is not about doing more puzzles or taking more vitamins. Sometimes it is about giving yourself permission to reconnect to the voices you love, the stories being told, the world that is still speaking to you. Do not let something as simple and fixable as hearing loss quietly rob you of your sharpness, your connection, or your joy. Your brain is still listening. Make sure it can hear what matters. Let us keep going, because the next mistake is one you may be doing every night without even realizing how much it is costing your memory. There is a quiet pride that some people carry into their later years, the ability to get by on just a few hours of sleep. I have always been a light sleeper. I only need 5 or 6 hours these days. I can nap later if I need to. But here is the truth many do not realize. After 60, sleep is no longer just about rest. It is about survival. Sleep is the time when your brain repairs itself. It clears out waste. It files away memories. It strengthens the connections that allow you to think clearly, remember names, and find the right words when you speak. Without enough sleep, your brain becomes foggy. You feel more irritable, more forgetful, more easily overwhelmed. And if this becomes a pattern, not just once in a while, but every night, the damage builds. Let me tell you about Joe, a 68-year-old former contractor who prided himself on never needing more than 5 hours. He liked to stay up late watching old westerns and sipping tea, then wake early to water the garden. But lately, he noticed something. He was forgetting small things while he walked into a room where he left his phone, the name of a neighbor he had known for years. At first, he thought it was just aging. But after a routine checkup, his doctor asked him about his sleep. Joe shrugged and said, "I sleep when I can." That is when the doctor shared something powerful. Poor sleep in older adults is directly linked to faster memory loss and even Alzheimer's. In fact, studies show that people over 60 who consistently sleep less than 6 hours a night are at significantly higher risk for cognitive decline. Why? Because sleep is when your brain clears out something called beta amyloid, a sticky protein that builds up during the day. When it is not removed, it begins to clog the brain, interfering with memory and clarity. Joe was stunned. He had no idea his nightly routine was harming his brain. So, he made a few changes. He began going to bed at the same time every night. He stopped using screens an hour before bedtime. He dimmed the lights after dinner, drank his tea earlier, and started winding down with a book instead of television. Within weeks, he felt the difference. His energy improved, he felt more present, and best of all, the fog that had been creeping into his thoughts began to lift. So how do you know if sleep might be silently affecting your brain? Look for these signs. You wake up feeling tired even after sleeping. You often wake up during the night. You rely on naps to get through the day. You feel mentally sluggish or foggy in the morning. Sleep is not a luxury, it is a requirement for a healthy mind. And here is the part most people do not know. As we age, the body becomes less efficient at producing melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate sleep. That means falling asleep and staying asleep both become harder. But the solution is not in sleeping pills. It is in building a sleep-supporting routine. Here are a few gentle changes that can make a big difference. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. Avoid caffeine after 2 p.m. as it can linger in your system longer than you think. Limit screen time in the evening. TVs, tablets, and phones all suppress melatonin. Keep your bedroom cool and dark to support deep, restful sleep. Create a wind-down ritual, gentle stretching, soft music, light reading, or deep breathing. Let us go back to Joe. He recently told his wife, "I feel like I have my thoughts back." That is the power of sleep. It restores not just the body but the mind. If you have been sacrificing sleep for years, taking care of others, staying up late out of habit, or simply not knowing the damage, it is not too late to change. Sleep is not time lost, it is time invested. And what you gain in return is sharper memory, calmer moods, better focus, and a healthier brain for the years ahead. Let us move on, because the next mistake is one that many people do not even realize they are making, yet it may be the loneliest threat to the brain of all. We often think of loneliness as an emotional ache, something that makes the heart feel heavy, the days feel longer, and the world feel just a little more distant. But what most people do not realize is that loneliness does not just affect how you feel. It affects how your brain functions. After 60, social connection becomes one of the most powerful protectors of brain health. And when that connection fades, when days pass without real conversation, laughter, or feeling seen, the brain begins to change. Cognitive decline, memory loss, confusion, and even depression become far more likely. In fact, studies show that seniors who are socially isolated have a 50% higher risk of developing dementia. Let us talk about Helen, a 77-year-old widow who had always been full of life. She loved her book club, volunteering at the library, chatting with neighbors during her evening walks. But after her husband passed, and especially during the quiet months of winter, Helen slowly began to retreat. She stopped attending her club. She told herself she was just tired, that she was fine. Days turned into weeks, and soon, Helen's world grew smaller. Her once bright home felt silent. Her thoughts felt heavier. She began forgetting things, not just appointments, but whether she had eaten or where she left her keys. At her next checkup, she scored lower on a memory test than she ever had. Her doctor gently asked, "Helen, how often do you spend time with others?" Helen shrugged. "Not as much lately, I guess." That was the turning point. You see, the brain is not just wired for language, it is wired for connection. When we speak, listen, laugh, and share stories, we activate areas of the brain tied to memory, emotional regulation, and cognitive processing. But when those interactions disappear, those areas begin to dim. The brain, like a garden, withers without regular care and sunlight. The damage from isolation is not just emotional, it is physiological. It increases cortisol, the stress hormone. It suppresses immune function, and over time, it shrinks key areas of the brain related to memory and emotional control. But here is the good news. Just as quickly as the brain begins to withdraw, it can be reawakened through connection. Let us go back to Helen. With encouragement from her daughter, she began making small changes. She started with one phone call a day, to a friend, a neighbor, her granddaughter. She returned to her book club, even though it felt awkward at first. She began writing letters again, sharing memories with her family, and even signed up to help at the local food pantry. After a few months, her doctor noticed something remarkable. Not only had her mood lifted, but her cognitive scores improved. Helen felt like herself again. If you are over 60 and find yourself feeling lonely more often than you used to, please hear this. It is not just something to accept. It is something to change. You do not need to be surrounded by people all the time. Even small, meaningful interactions can work wonders. Here are a few gentle ways to reconnect. Call a friend or family member once a day, even just for 10 minutes. Join a local group gardening, music, walking, or faith-based communities. Volunteer in your community a few hours a week can create lasting bonds. Try video calls with grandchildren or old friends. Write letters or emails sharing your life stories. You may be surprised who writes back. The goal is not to fill your calendar. It is to fill your heart and stimulate your mind. Because every conversation, every smile, every shared moment is like a vitamin for your brain. Loneliness is not weakness. It is a signal, a nudge from your brain saying, "I need connection." And just like sleep, nutrition, and exercise, social engagement is essential for staying mentally strong. So if you have withdrawn gently, step back in. If you have stopped calling, start again. If you have felt invisible, know this. Your presence still matters. You are not alone in this, and your brain does not want to be either. Now, let us take a moment to reflect on what all of this means and what small steps can make the biggest difference going forward. Your brain holds your memories, your stories, your wisdom, and after 60, it deserves more care than ever before. The most dangerous threats to brain health are not dramatic, they are quiet. Skipping stimulation, ignoring hearing loss, sacrificing sleep, living too alone. But here is the beautiful truth. Each of these can be changed. You do not need to be perfect, you just need to begin. Even one small choice, a conversation, a book, a better bedtime can reignite your mind and brighten your life. Because your brain is not fading, it is waiting. And it is never too late to protect what matters most. If something in this video spoke to you, I would love to hear your thoughts. Share one small change you plan to make for your brain health in the comments below. And if you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and tap the bell. Your support helps us reach more hearts and minds, because growing older should never mean growing dimmer.